Okay, welcome everyone to our team huddle tonight. If you do not see some of your team members on, make sure to get them on here tonight. We have a very exciting training, and yeah, who is like already done their goals, and you're just like you're ready and fired up for the entire year. Okay, Bree rose her hand. I know. Well, you're in the right place tonight if you have, or if you're like, you know what? Every year I have the best intention, but here we are already on February 16th, and maybe you haven't quite done all of them, or maybe you've started them, but this is going to hopefully take it to the next level. So, we're going to definitely jump into our training, but first, I do want to go over just a few announcements, make sure everyone is fully up to speed on what is going on for the week. So just quickly, we'll run through our awesome announcements and who do we have on Tuesday and Thursday, but the beautiful and amazing Christy Belliston. So she's going to be coming to us live on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central to talk about this incredible K-Beauty brand. So as we know, Tuesday night is much more business focused, but don't be afraid to invite, any of your newer prospects because she is going to go over how incredible our products are and then why the opportunity just makes sense, right? And then on Thursday, we have fun. We do our masterclass on Thursday night, same time, same Zoom number. And I know Christy is going to be bringing some awesome interactive Zooms. That is what I think she's most known for, is making sure everyone is having fun on the Zoom. So that one, customers, new customers, anybody and everybody just that wants to grab a glass of wine or a cup of tea and get on with us on Thursday. Okay, so convention. If you've been under a rock or maybe you're brand new, you know that convention is happening in a week and a half. So it's not too late to come. It's Long Beach. So we would love to see you if you have not committed. But if you've committed, put a one in the chat. I want to see who is coming so that we can see your face on this amazing weekend that we have. So it's going to be, oh, I'm sorry. That's an old slide. What am I doing? Oh my gosh, I'm hilarious. I get a pass today because of moving. You know how it goes when you're moving. Okay. This is the dates. February 27th through March 1st is the convention. Here are the tickets, the QR code, and then Saturday night we are going to have fun. I am so excited for this neon party. We're going to have like DJ and dancing and some raffles. And who doesn't want a photo booth? We have a 360 booth and it's going to be super fun. Your costume is just anything neon, anything neon. It doesn't have to be from the 80s or from the 90s. It can be whatever you want. Julian, Doan, and I are EDM fans. So we'll be bringing the techno vibes, but it's gonna be so much fun. Okay, Bahamas, this is happening right now. So anytime you guys earn customers, planners, volume points, you guys set your sights on this trip. And tonight we're talking about how to set your sights on things and really visualize your goals. And so, what better way than to think about this trip? Think about being on the beach in the sand at this next trip. So these are the qualifications. You can definitely check these out more in the drive. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. The Remon retreats, again, new trips this year. So this is a director trip that is happening, qualification all this year. And then the trip is next year in Dubai. It's going to be amazing. I have not been there since like 2015, I think is when I was there. So I know it's changed a ton. I cannot wait to see. And I want all of you there that is going to qualify. So we gotta run for this trip as well. And then we have our training tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up Mr. Julian Doan, and he and I are going to talk about, when you are starting a new year, it is the perfect time. But it doesn't even have to be the first of the year. It can be your birthday. It can be whatever like is that significant date to where you want to refresh, you want to set new goals and new stretch goals to help you just go next level. And so that is what tonight is about. We will, of course, have some fun things that if you are feeling creative today and tonight, you can do some of those things and those actions right away. But we really want to talk about, what happens when sorry, hold on, I'm having technical difficulties, of course. What happens when we do these exercises? Like, what does it do to our minds? What's actually happening? It's not just woo-woo, if you will. And Julian, we were talking earlier, right? Like, there's a lot of science
Mhm.
behind what we're going to talk about tonight.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'm taking a drink of water. You get to talk for a second.
No, I mean, when I first got started in the industry, they said make a vision board. I just thought, hey, get some magazines, cut out some pictures and whatnot. But it wasn't until like I really took it seriously and really took the time to design and plan my future. And what's interesting is, actually, this actually happened last week when Susan asked me to do this topic. We are actually at my parents' house because we usually stay at my parents' house before we go to Vegas. And my wife, Yvonne, found my old vision board. And what was interesting is that vision board actually created about 4 years ago. And looking at that vision board now, almost everything I put on that vision board came true to the T. And here's what's also interesting. Around that time, I wasn't involved in network marketing anymore and I started venturing into group fitness, right? And as I was venturing into group fitness, there's a huge brand called Rumble Boxing, and Rumble Boxing is $1 billion brand. That was like my dream brand to work with, just because they're so cool, they're so well connected. But in my mind, I thought to myself, well, I got to work my way up in the industry to even apply and audition for that. And so I just put that picture of Rumble Boxing because I was like, that's the end goal. And at that time, I applied for a place called Mayweather Boxing, and because of COVID, they shut down, and it just stayed on my vision board. 2 years later, I got an opportunity and an invite to audition for Rumble Boxing, and actually got it. So something I totally forgot that was even on my vision board, and even stuff like cars, experiences, places to travel. And so for a lot of you. Today, when we go over this training, you're not only going to understand what to do, but why to do it and the science behind it. So we're super excited to share it with you.
I love that. Thank you. And I was thinking back as well, like when we first started to put this together and think like, oh, this is like I said, my favorite thing to coach and to talk about and really to apply to my own life because I first learned about it the very first time that I attended anything in this industry. And some of you guys know my story, but I'll just quickly tell you. In my early 20s, I was introduced well, let me back up because it's actually funny. My friends kept inviting me to like a secret party. They kept asking me to come over and they wanted to like introduce me to something, but they wouldn't say what it was. And then when I got over there, it was like they jumped out of an Amway cake, is what I used to say, because they were like, well, it's Amway. And I was like, why didn't you just tell me that? So it's so funny, but it was back in like 2000 and flipping like five or something crazy. But I was introduced to vision boards then. And I did not have a background in this personal development world. I was like, small town girl. I went to college and was in corporate America. They don't talk about those things in corporate America. And so I thought they were a little crazy. I was like, okay, I'll cut out some pictures. Like, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. But what is so awesome is as I had this, um, poster board, I had it hung up for years because I was like, oh, that was actually pretty cool. And I was telling Julian, like, I moved a few times and I kept it because I was like, no, those are my dreams, those are my wishes. And then fast forward 2012, I was introduced to another opportunity. It was in skincare. And I started really getting dialed in. I was like, okay, I'm going to take this dream board serious. Redid it. And 3 years later, I was moving to a new apartment. And because of that business, I was able to move to that apartment. And as I was unpacking, it literally like hit me like a ton of bricks that I was unpacking in a room that was just like a picture I'd put on a vision board, that first vision board. And I was like panicking almost because I went and found it out of the box to put it up. And I'm telling you, you guys, like from the huge window with the trees right outside, the blinds, the couch that I had picked out, because I picked out a brand new couch, was just like the one in the picture. It was like barely a different brown. And then like the flowers that I mean, it almost freaked me out a little, but it made me realize that all of that training was absolutely true. That what you see on a regular basis, especially sometimes your mind doesn't even realize you're looking at that vision board. If it's up on your wall, you don't maybe realize how much you're seeing it, but your subconscious is seeing it every single day. If it's in your bathroom or on your wall that you see in your office or someplace, right? Not like maybe hidden in the closet. But when you are seeing it every day, those visions truly do train your reality and your subconscious. And so I'm excited because I know it happens because it actually happened to me and it happened to Julian. So that's what we're going to cover tonight. Okay, so let me share our slides because we do have a couple of really awesome um, things to things to go over. Hold on. Can you guys see my screen? Yes, okay, but it's not presentation.
Hmm.
Okay, okay, there we go. Oh, and look, it's totally, oh my gosh. You guys are gonna kill me tonight. Hold on. Here we go. Now let's, okay, is it on the first page now? Okay, I'm
Yep.
so sorry. Okay, so this is a great quote. Obviously, Jim Rohn, master at visualization and personal development. And I love this. He says, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you're going to fall into someone else's plan. And so that is, of course, why you want to set goals and have the opportunity to put them down on paper and make sure that you're truly planning your life and doing that for this year. And honestly, I had a mentor teach me to do a 5 year vision statement. So to do the goals for 1 year, but also stretch yourself and write down like, what about 5 years? Where are you? What does life look like? What does it feel like to wake up in the morning and to really put emotions and all the senses behind it? What does the air smell like? What is it, what is your bed? What does your bedding feel like? Like, really get into when you're writing those things down, exactly what you're experiencing when you just let yourself dream, let yourself think about where you want to be in 5 years or in at the end of this year. So, okay, this is I don't know if you guys have ever seen this post or heard about this woman, but I just loved this story and I thought this would be a great way for us to start. So, in 1948, which is a long time ago, this woman discovered a code to bend reality at will and she used it for 30 years, you guys. She had a 100% success rate. Her answer was a four-letter code that breaks the matrix, basically, is what they like to say. Okay. Her childhood shaped the question. Growing up in the Great Depression, survival was tough. Her parents told her, if you want something, work for it. But she knew that there was a better way. So her name was Helen Hadsell. She was an ordinary housewife with an extraordinary belief. And it really was that the mind creates reality. So, what I love about her story is that she started to, you can read as I'm kind of going over this, but she started to set her sights on contests. And that's what she decided. I'm gonna start winning things. And because she didn't want to go to work, she was a housewife. And back then, I don't think she probably had very many options. So she doubled down. She entered more and more contests after she won the very first one. From 1950 to 1970, she won over 1,000 prizes. She did TVs, cash, vacations. I mean, it was crazy. So, anyway, they called her the contest queen. And in 1969, she revealed her secret in her book, The Name It and Claim It Game. Inside, she shared her four-letter code, SPEC. So, this is cool. Write this down. S sounds for select it. Be crystal clear. Helen never entered contests she didn't truly want. The universe, she said, responds to clarity. And you can put God in there. Listen, whatever you believe in, it's literally backed up. P is for project it. Visualize it vividly. Helen imagined the sights, the sounds, the emotions. That's why I was telling you, like the textures, all the senses. It must feel so real in your mind that it is already yours. E is for expect it. The step where most people fail. Helen didn't hope to win, she expected it. Doubt blocks, but certainty opens. And then C is collect it. Dreaming wasn't enough, right? She had to take action. So writing into the contest, submitting them and entering them. Her mantra was the universe rewards action, not daydreaming. So I love this. Her biggest win out of this entire time that she practiced this was a brand new home, which is just crazy to me that she won that, right? She visualized living in it every single day. And out of all the entries, she's the one that won. So psychologists have studied her, CEOs have invited her to teach this method, and she proved reality bends to your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. So that is what we're going to do tonight. We are going to really set our sights on making a vision board, and it can be, old school, cutting things out. It can be new school, creating a Canva, but it's basically you can put wallpaper on your phone. It's a visual representation of your specific goals. So writing them is great, but take it to that next level. Start connecting your vision to your goals and actually put a representation together because it does support like that conditioning in your mind. All right, so here is a quick clip as well from one of our favorites, right? Tony Robbins. And hold on, because I'm doing this remotely, I think, okay, I did do it right. I'm just gonna play this quick video. He talks up in here about what he does on a daily basis.
I train my nervous system by starting every morning. I do this process to change my body. And I think of one at a time, a minute each. I see and feel something in my life that I'm really grateful for. Wow. I do little things and big things, so you don't have to have a giant thing to be grateful. And then I do 3 minutes of what I call 3 to thrive. I think of 3 things I want to make happen, and I don't sit there and beg for them or pray for them. I see them as done. I feel them. I celebrate them as done, because when your subconscious mind believes it's done, it makes it happen. So it's kind of programming it. And the whole thing only takes 10 minutes.
So there again, he talks about not just, writing things down, but actually experiencing it with all of the senses. And sight and vision is obviously one of the biggest ones that you can do.
I train my nervous system.
All right, hold on. Okay. So now I am going to bring up our special guest speaker, Mr. Julian Doan. And if you do not know who Mr. Julian is, he is really my sponsor. He got started in this business and we have been working together since truly the beginning. And he has a massive organization. He has a global organization. And my biggest thing about this incredible man right here is he truly is in this to help people. He has shown that time and time again. Him and his wife, they will drive the miles, they will get on whatever calls. They are truly servant leaders. And when I asked him, to do this training tonight with all of us, of course his answer was yes, because that's just kind of how he is. So we're so blessed to have you, Julian. You don't just, talk the talk, you walk the walk. So we're excited to hear more about how you have done vision boards and how we can learn from you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Susan, for that wonderful introduction. And I just want to give it back to Susan before we get started and dive a little bit deeper. I said this on the orientation call, I think about a week ago when Susan introduced me there. And, a lot of times when we built this business, right? We focus on who can we bring into the business, who we have on our team. But I think the most important question we need to ask ourselves as leaders is not who do we bring in, but who do we get to be for the people that we bring in. And, Susan was actually a huge blessing because when I first got involved in Remont, I actually haven't been in network marketing for about 5 years. I gave up on the industry. And when Tim told me go recruit networkers, go recruit people, I was like, I don't even know networkers. I'm so out of touch with the game because I've just been in fitness and consulting. I don't even know where to start. And what's amazing is when we started, I made a list of goals, what I wanted to accomplish, what I wanted to do. And obviously team leader was the first major position, but I didn't know where to start. And the thing about vision boards is when you have a vision, one, you got to take the logical steps, right? The steps that you're supposed to take, right? Invite, present, close, all these different things. But what's going to happen, and this is a little bit more spiritual, right? Maybe a little esoteric, but you also have to take the inspired action. There's moments that are going to happen where a voice and a feeling, an intuition is going to tell you, go talk to this person or do this or show up here. And it's almost like not even asking you to, it's telling you to. You just got to trust it. And I remember I reached out to a friend of mine, and he was in another company, probably one of the only networkers I knew. I reached out to him, and he was launching a new project. He was more on the consulting side. And, it was 3 days before Thanksgiving. He called me up. He says, I really want to get started, but the project I'm working on, they're supposed to pay me. They haven't paid me yet. I don't even have money to take care of my daughters. He's a single father, 3 daughters. He's like, I don't even know how to take care of my daughters, and I have no money. Like, I want to do it. I don't want to miss it. And so I told him, I said, hey, if this is something you're serious about, like, I'm gonna pay you. I'll pay for you to get started. So I paid for him to get started. Something told me to do that, and I even sent him extra money for his daughters, right? Because Thanksgiving is one of my favorite holidays because it brings people together. You're focused on gratitude. And unfortunately, he didn't do much. He didn't do anything. In fact, he ghosted me. After I did all that, he hasn't really talked to me. But one good thing came out of that, and that was Susan. He talked to Susan. He signed up Susan before he quit, before he left. And, right before our first convention, Tim and Chris reached out to me and says, hey, you have somebody on your team. She's kind of like a wounded bird. She has experience in the industry. She needs to build her confidence again. And, you're the perfect person to work with her. So I started reaching out to her. We worked together. And what was amazing is that when I talked to Susan, I can see that she was very hopeful. She was excited, but she was scared. But what she didn't know was I was also scared. I was hopeful, but I was scared too. I was like, man, like she has experience. Like I've been out of the game for so long. What am I going to do? And again, at the end of the day, the biggest question as leaders we got to ask ourselves is not who do we bring into the business, who do we get to be for the people we have in the business? And because she was somebody that I was so fond of and I had so much love for, it called me forward to be a better leader. So I actually owe a lot to Susan. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So very, very grateful for Susan. So I could talk about how great Susan is all day long. I could probably do a 45-minute training on that. But let me go ahead and open up the slides so you guys can go ahead and see. We'll go ahead and get started. Boom, boom, boom. Share. There you go. And then play. Can you guys all see my screen okay? Give me a thumbs up if you guys can. Continue to share. Okay, perfect. Okay. So let's talk about vision boards, what it is, what it isn't, why it's effective. And for me, for those of you guys who don't know, I also have autism, right? So a lot of the things that are vague, a lot of the things that are implied, it's kind of hard for me to get behind. It has to logically make sense. And so today, even with vision boards, I'm going to give you the science, the psychology, and even the details about it where it logically will make sense for you, okay? So let's go ahead and talk about it. So as we're on this call together, right, let's talk about what vision board isn't. Vision board isn't about arts and crafts. What it really is about programming your future, right? Because if we're honest, the difference between the people who rise rank after rank and the people who stay stuck, it's not talent, it's not luck. What it comes down to is something called clarity. Because high performers don't just work harder, they see clearer, right? And tonight, we're going to fix that, okay? So here's a question I want to leave you guys with, right? Start with, why do some people hit rank after rank while others stay stuck? It's not that one group is more capable than the other, okay? What it is that one group decides clearly. The other group stays vague, right? And vague goals, guess what it produces? Vague results, vague effort, okay? So the truth is this. High performers, they don't just work harder, they see clearer, right? They're able to define the number. They define the rank. They define the timeline. Because why? Clarity sharpens behavior. When you're clear, it's easier to take action, right? So let's talk about it. What is a vision board? Well, let's define this properly. A vision board is not Pinterest, okay? It's not manifestation quotes, although that could be part of it. It's not vibes. What it really comes down to is neurological conditioning, right? It's a tool. It's a visual representation of specific goals. It's a decision-making filter. And guess what? When you do it right, it trains your brain to notice opportunity. Now, when done wrong, it's just simply decoration that just hangs on your wall. And guess what? Tonight, we're not here to talk about decorating. We're here to talk about conditioning, right? So let's back that up with numbers. What do the results show, right? What does the science say? Well, the fact says that people who write down their goals, right, are about 42% more likely to achieve them. That's huge, right? Only around 3% of adults have clearly defined written goals. And guess what? Those with specific goals consistently outperform vague goal setters, and sometimes dramatically. Why? Because clarity compounds, and that's what we're here to do, compound, right? I want money does nothing, okay? $50,000 a month by December, right? 2026 changes behavior. Okay. The more specific you are, the more your standards change. And standards, guess what? Changes your results. Okay. So let's talk about it then. So why do most people fail, right? And we kind of touched on it already. Most people fail for simple reasons. One, their goals are vague. Two, their goals are emotional and not measurable, right? They're not visible daily, right? Out of sight, out of mind, right? And again, there's no identity shift attached to them, okay? People want different results, but guess what? They don't want to become different people. If you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. So that's the gap. So what it all comes down to, right? The science is something called the reticular activating system. I learned this from Tony Robbins. He talks about this a lot, right? So what happens is your brain deletes most of what it sees every day, right? Our brain receives millions of inputs, right? Almost all filtered out, right? But there's a system in our brain called the reticular activating system, or RAS for short. And what its job is to filter information and highlight what it believes is important. And guess what the good news is? You can program it. The problem is most of us are programmed to view what we don't want, and that's why we get more of that versus what we do want, right? One of my favorite examples, right? When you decide you want a Porsche, guess what? Suddenly you see them everywhere, right? Why is that? It's not like all of a sudden everybody decided to buy Porsches just to tease you. It's because your brain started paying attention. Now, you're going to hear me talk about Porsches a lot because I do want another Porsche. I'm programming myself, by the way, okay? So that's the RAS, right? Now, imagine your goals are vague. Your brain doesn't know what to filter for. It doesn't know what to search for. It doesn't know what to look out for. But when your goals are specific, right? Like director by this date, this income by this timeline, your brain actually locks in. And guess what it does? It starts spotting conversations. It starts finding leaders. It starts finding opportunities. And that's why visibility matters, okay? So again, what is your mind set on? Problems or opportunities, right? Challenges or growth? Now, your vision board actually programs your RAS. Why is that? Because your vision board tells your brain, this matters, find it, right? What does it do? It removes emotional resistance. And not only that, but it normalizes bigger outcomes. It trains your mind to align with your ambition, right? And guess what? Repetition is what builds belief. And belief is what drives behavior. Now, I talked about it earlier, right? The power of environment. And, I want to touch on this before we even dive further. They actually did a study, and you know what is the biggest deciding factor, the biggest advantage or disadvantage someone can have that will determine their likelihood of success? And what that comes down to, believe it or not, is your zip code. That's why they say the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Why is that? Right? Because guess what? If you grow up in a poor environment where you're used to seeing everybody around you struggle, challenge, right? People barely make it out of your city, right? Or you grow up in a wealthy neighborhood where where you grow up as a kid, all your neighbors have $1 million houses, right? All your neighbors drive Mercedes, BMWs, Lamborghinis, or whatever it is. That's the standard your mind is used to because it knows that it's possible. And that's why your environment is so important, right? But not all of us are dealt those kind of hands. But guess what? It doesn't matter what hands you're dealt. What matters is how you learn to play the cards. And that's why environment is so important, okay? So what I often talk about is that you become what you repeatedly see, right? Your environment shapes your belief, right? Your belief, as I said earlier, drives your behavior, and behavior is what produces results. So if all you see is small thinking, guess what's going to happen? Small becomes normal, right? If you surround yourself with leaders, right? Rank, recognition, and growth, that becomes normal, which is also why convention is so important because you're going to be around that environment because proximity collapses disbelief. When you're around people that are doing it, when you're around people that are making it possible, you now know that it's available for you, okay? So let's talk about it. When you set it, we got to be practical. You got to choose your timeline. And I know Susan talked about it earlier. You want to set 12-month goals, 3-year goals, 10-year goals, right? You want to have a huge timeline for that. Why? Because high performers built short-term clarity and long-term vision. You need both, okay? So when we come down to making our vision board, the first step is we got to really be specific. Step 2 is be specific, right? Not more money. What number, right? Not a higher rank, right? Which rank and by when? Not a nice car, which car, right? Again, the more specific you are, the more it activates in your brain to look for what you're actually wanting. If it's blurry, guess what's going to happen? It's not going to move you, right? So when you're creating your vision board, your goals, here are a couple key categories you want to look over, right? Now, your board should cover 5 main areas. Number one, income, rank in businesses, lifestyle, relationships, and health. Okay, you want all of that. Now, if you win in one and lose everywhere else, that's not really success, right? Balance is what creates sustainability. Okay. Now, on top of that, what you want to do is you want to use real images when you're creating the vision board, right? Use real images. What is the exact car you want? What is the exact house? That's exactly what Susan did, and she ended up there. What's the exact recognition that you want on stage and by when? Because guess what? Your brain responds to realism. There's a study that says your brain cannot, the power of visualization is your mind cannot actually tell the difference between what has happened, what has not happened yet. And so when you visualize it, your mind has already gone there. I know Yvonne put it in the group chat earlier. It's one of my favorite quotes, right? Every major accomplishment was done twice. First in the mind, then in reality. Because if you can go there in the mind, guess what? You can go there in the body, okay? So again, your vision responds to realism, right? Not symbols, not abstract ideas, right? But clarity. The more clear you are, the better it is. And you know what else is great? You now have the power of AI. So literally you can find a picture of your exact car, and then you could put you in front of that car. You can put you in the car, you in the house, right? And and exactly what she said, you can see it, you can feel it, right? And so it's huge. Now, there is a placement strategy that you want to use, right? Now, we talk about the word vision board, but I don't want you to just be limited to a board, right? It's a lot of different options. When we say vision board, here's what we're really saying. Surround yourself with your goals everywhere you go. Where do you spend the most time at, right? Now, I don't know if women can relate. There's a lot of women on this call. I'm a guy, so I can only talk about guy things, okay? And as a guy, where I tend to spend the most time is the bathroom. So if you were to go in my bathroom, you would see all my goals written on the bathroom mirror. You'll see it everywhere, right? Because again, out of sight, out of mind. You want to surround yourself with it, okay? So again, your board cannot live in a drawer. You want to put it where you can see it clearly, right? One of my favorite places, your phone lock screen, put it on there. In your office, where you spend a lot of time at your work, right? Bathroom mirror, your desktop background. Why is that important? Because frequency is what builds familiarity. The more you see it, again, your brain looks for it. And again, familiarity builds belief. And what do we talk about? Belief is what builds action, okay? So when do you use a vision board? Well, most people glance at it once a month, right? That's not really conditioning, right? You got to use it daily. Okay, when you wake up, before you pick up your phone, checking your email, social media, visualize your goals. Look at your vision boards before all the distractions, right? Why? Because this is mental training. Now, here's what I like to do, right? I like to do a little 5-minute conditioning ritual every day. So 5 minutes every morning. Here's what you do. You look at it. You visualize one scene clearly. You feel it. Put yourself there. Right? What is that like? Who are you with? Who's experiencing it with you? Then ask, this is the most important question, who must I become today? And then take one action that's aligned with that immediately. Because visualization without action, guess what? Is fantasy. Visualization with action, guess what? Is trajectory. Okay? And here's my favorite part. This is where it doesn't become woo-woo. Is there needs to be an identity shift. Because if you can accomplish everything you want the way you are, you should already have it. So if you want more, you got to become more. And the best part about goals, right, is not just attaining them. It's the person you become in pursuit of them, right? That is the beauty of it. So here's the deeper layer, okay? Your vision board isn't about the car. It isn't about the house. It isn't about the rank. It isn't about the money. What it is, it's about the identity. Because here's an important question. What if you hit director tomorrow? What if God bless you and you just hit director tomorrow? Would your habits support it? Would your calendar support it? Would your discipline support it? Right? Because guess what? This business doesn't reward interest. What it rewards is alignment. So you got to get in alignment. What you want needs to be in alignment with who you are. And that's the beauty of this journey. That's the beauty of this game, okay? So here's a visualization exercise. I want you to imagine for a moment, it's December 31st, 2026. There's two versions of you. One who defined it clearly, saw it daily, built accordingly, and the other, the person who stayed vague. And guess what? Who do you think is going to have the goals, right? The difference is not going to be talent. It's going to be clarity, okay? And so here's the call to action, okay? Build it tonight, right? It doesn't have to be a full-fledged vision board. It could be on your desktop screen, your phone, whatever it is. Make it specific. Make it bold. Imagine you have a catalog to universe, whatever you want, it's yours, right? And then share it with your team, right? And then declare One measurable goal publicly. Share with your upline, someone that can hold you accountable. Because vision isn't magic. Vision is a decision. And guess what? Once you decide clearly, your results have no choice but to follow. Okay? So build it tonight. Okay? So in closing, I just want everybody to just take a deep breath and let it out. Because guess what? This isn't about a vision board. What it's really about is about the line in the sand. Because most people don't lose because they're incapable. They lose because they never decide. They're 1 foot in, they're 1 foot out. They float, they hope, they try, but they never define, right? They say, I want more. I want better, right? I want success. But guess what? That's not clarity. That's comfort disguised as ambition. And you know what? The sad reality is comfort never built anything extraordinary, right? Wishes don't hit director, right? Wishes don't create residual income, right? Wishes don't change your family's trajectory. Decisions do. And not just any decision, specific decisions. And guess what? When you define the number, when you define the rank, when you define the lifestyle, when you see it every single day, your brain locks in. Your standards, guess what? They shift. Your tolerance for average drops. And here's the truth most people don't want to face. The car isn't the goal. The stage isn't the goal. The money isn't the goal. The identity is. Because again, if you woke up tomorrow as a director, would your habits match it? Would your calendar match it, right? Would your discipline match it? Because at the end of the day, this business, again, doesn't reward desire. It rewards alignment. So tonight, you're not cutting out pictures, okay? You're declaring who you are becoming, who you're going to be, not just for you, but for the people that come into your life. And guess what? A year from now, December 31st, 2026, there's going to be two versions of you. One who said, this is mine and built it, and one who stayed vague and stayed where they were, right? And guess what? The choice is yours. You get to decide. And again, the difference will not be talent. It won't be timing. It won't be luck. It will be clarity. And that's the beauty of it. And guess what? It's going to require courage on your part. The courage to commit to it daily, right? So again, build it tonight. Make it uncomfortable. Make it specific. Make it so clear that it scares you a little bit. Make it so clear that when you accomplish your goal, it's almost like deja vu because you've been there before. And then close the gap. Because again, vision is not magic. Vision is a standard, right? And once your standard rises, like I said, your results have no choice but to follow. And that's how leaders rise. So that's my part about vision boards. So hopefully you can see it's a lot bigger than just cutting out pictures and slapping it around. It's really you designing your life, your identity, and who you get to be for you and for everybody else. So with that being said, thank you so much for joining us. And here's the good news, okay? If your New Year's was off to a bad start, here's the good news, okay? I don't know if you saw the trend of I'm turning Chinese, I'm becoming Chinese. You guys seen that trend? It's like everywhere. Because here's the good news. Tomorrow, February 17th, is Chinese New Year. So if you had a bad New Year, guess what? Make your vision board today because tomorrow is a new year. And guess what? You know, it's the new year, holidays, maybe business is a little bit slow. So if February didn't March, April, May. So let's get to work, guys. I'll see you guys later. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Julian. You guys have an awesome night and we'll see you this week on Zooms and in Long Beach.